Hello and welcome to today's show, which is about life lessons. See how easily you can include life lessons in your life story project. The show today is brought to you thanks to the Structure Success video training, which helps you come up with a rough outline or a rough chapter outline for your life story project, which could be an autobiography, a memoir, a biography, or something else. So stay with me to the end of the show and I'll have more information about this free training. The Forever Young Autobiographies show is where we learn how to create life stories for family and friends so that unique memories can live on for future generations. It'd be wonderful if you could follow, subscribe, like the show, even share it with a friend. So let's get down to life lessons. These are wonderful reasons to start a life story project. Recently here in Australia, we marked Anzac Day. And this is a Memorial Day where we pay tribute to the servicemen and servicewomen of Australia and New Zealand. At these Memorial Days, a common phrase is "lest we forget," where we remember the sacrifices that have been made and continue to be made in wartime. And this idea of not forgetting and remembering lessons, paying tribute, is a wonderful reason, a great motivator to start life stories. So I'm going to start today's show a little bit about why we should include life stories in our project. Now, the thing is that they are going to come up. When you're starting a project like this, they're definitely going to come up. And they're really loved by audiences, by readers. In fact, they're actually drawn to these life lessons, and it could be consciously, it could be unconsciously. And they're actually curious about challenges and hardships that have been overcome in a life. And they're basically looking for clues and ideas on how they might do the same. So that's a bit of an idea of why they are so popular, why they're really great for your audience, and why you should include them in your project. But what sort of life lesson topics should we, probably broach or create in our projects? Now, I touched on the one there from Lessons from War, but there's actually so many. I'm just going to run through a bit of a list here I've put together to help you with some ideas. Now, the first one I've got is health. There's lots of lessons we can impart about health. It could be habits, putting yourself first, even something to do with aging. Another idea is relationships and love. Plenty of life lessons there that we could share. Thirdly, maybe to do with family and children. Moving on, maybe learning, work and career. That is a goldmine for sharing life lessons. Then we have finance, maybe lessons to do with debt and attachments. Places and times lived or experienced. I like that one. And also we've got, if you're inclined, religion and life outlook. So things like gratitude, honesty, forgiveness, intuition. Wouldn't be a list without friendship, dealing with others. That is a really great one. And finally, just some random other ideas for lessons is about change, taking risks, maybe dealing with emotions such as anger, having fun, worry or failure. That should get your mind ticking over about life lessons you could include in your project. But how do you include them? Where do you start? So I'll go over that now. The good place, of course, to start is at the beginning. For example, if you're writing a book, you could put it in the introduction, or likewise, you could put it at the end as a summary. So you're doing an overview. And a second idea is to reflect, and that could be at the end of sections or at the end of chapters. It's really nice to put those in, it sort of rounds out the section or chapter. Of course, you can sprinkle these life lessons all the way through your project. That is a great way, especially if you've got more than, a few life lessons, you're going to sprinkle them nicely throughout. And of course, you can do all of these or a combination of these. It's great to put them all the way through your project. But I want to finish up with an example of how you could do this. So perhaps you're dealing with a lifelong health issue. Now you could introduce this in your project, perhaps start it when you're in your project where it became apparent that this was a health problem, and then you could detail the symptoms and how it immediately affected you. And then perhaps as you go along, you could sprinkle in bits about the details and the lessons as this condition progressed. And then thirdly, you might want to reflect then at the end, sort of holistically, about how this condition has affected you physically and emotionally. So that's just an example to give you a bit of a practical idea of how you could implement these lessons. So that's some amazing secrets about how to include life lessons in and lessons learned in your life story project. To recap, we talked about why life lessons are important, why they're great for our readers. I gave you some topic ideas to include and then told you how you can do this with your life story project and then a working example. Now, this show is just a really great motivator for you. I'm hoping that it will impart that you should be generous and you should want to share life lessons. Play it forward if you like. So go over to my website. There's a whole article on this, goes into more detail, and there's links there that can be really helpful for you. You need to go to foreveryoungautobiographies.com/lessons learnt. Now I'll have the link for that in the show notes, so please look out for it. Head over, and while you're there, answer me this. What is a life lesson that someone has shared with you or you can share with others? I'd be really interested to know how you answer that. So leave it over at the article at the bottom in the comment section, or you can leave me a comment here in this platform. So please answer that question. I'd love to know. Before I head off, at the top of the show I mentioned the Structure Success video training. Helps you come up with an outline for your book, for your project. We identify some key memories and some key events. I run through it with you as well so you can see some of mine. And then you organise this into a basic outline. It's really, really helpful when you're starting out, where you're in the middle and you're a bit unsure of your project, or you're just finishing it and making sure that you've got everything ticked off. Now, to get your hands on this free video training, again, go to foreveryoungautobiographies.com/structure success sign up. The links are over at the article, but also in the show notes. So I highly recommend that you check that out. Now, I will be back again soon with another topic, yes. But before we go, it's wonderful if you could follow, subscribe, like the show, share it with a friend. And until then, happy writing.